Okay, if everybody's here, it's a little bit after 9, we'll go ahead and get started. First of all, thank you very much for coming today. I think every one of us that are involved with CETL is incredibly impressed that about 100 people volunteered to spend their Saturday here. So thank you very much. My name is David Feller. I'm the adjunct member of the CETL Board of Directors. I've been an adjunct here for about 8 years. And we kind of know that a lot of times adjuncts get pushed aside or not included, so that was the impetus for today's event. The timing was intentionally scheduled to be at the weekend after the first week for new adjuncts to give them a chance to get ready and get their classes going, but then answer all the questions that inevitably pop up during the first week. So that's why we're doing this today. Hopefully you'll find all of the presentations today interesting and useful. There's a feedback form in all of the folders that you've gotten. Please take a few minutes during the day to let us know what you think of today's presentation and also what you'd like to see in possible future presentations. They originally told me that this welcome should extend about an hour and a half, but frankly, I've forgotten almost everything else that they wanted me to talk about. So if I had paid more attention to Joe and Katie and the 10 things they're about to share with you, maybe I would have remembered. So, Joe Leopold and Katie Woods.
Give me a second to put the slide up.
Oh, thanks. Good morning. We're just going to do a little dog and pony before we get the slideshow up. A couple things. This is Dr. Katie Woods. I am Joe Leopold. Don't be confused. It's supposed to be funny. It's not. It's early. I know. It's a Saturday. And
that didn't work.
The slides better be good. Okay, real quick, because I didn't do any kind of survey with Lily, and thanks, by the way, to CETL for inviting us to come this morning. Real quick, how many of you have been teaching as an adjunct at this college for more than 5 years? Whoa! See, this is the kind of that, remember graduation, raise your hands. Okay, how many have been teaching at this institution for more than 10 years? Wow, okay, how many for 15?
It's about time we tried.
Darlene, adjunct, not full-time. That doesn't count. Okay, 16 years or more. Only one?
You should be full-time.
Yeah, I know. You should get grandmothered in or something. My past started as an adjunct 20 years ago at the Gibbs campus. I had just gotten out of graduate school, and I thought I knew everything, which I didn't. And I started teaching English at the Gibbs campus, and that was a wonderful opportunity. I did that for a year, and then I applied for a job at Tarpon, and I got that job. And after 6 years, I moved out of English because I got smart. Why? The papers are brutal. But then I started teaching government, and there are papers there. Right, but the classes are larger. But I couldn't do math. That was the thing. So I couldn't figure out if you add a few, so forth. But over those years, I stayed at Tarpon for 17 years, and then I moved to Clearwater, and I was the department chair for social and behavioral sciences. And now my new job is acting director of learning resources, which is a new academic division. It brings together libraries and learning support commons in a way that is going to be synergistic for students. We hope. We are in the process of creating 2 writing studios. I want to introduce those folks who are going to run the writing studios in the libraries. They are Dr. Gail Lancaster. Please, Gail. She's going to run the writing studio at the St. Pete Gibbs campus. And then Matthew Bodie is going to run the writing studio at the Clearwater campus. So your students will be able to go into those libraries, work in the writing studio with some recent technology, get one-to-one help with our instructional assistants, and then have the expertise of our faculty librarians to contribute to resource acquisition. Okay?
Can I go now?
Your turn to go.
How many of you who are adjunct faculty members have ever been in an administrative position? Anywhere. Anywhere. How about administrative position in an educational institution? Okay, so we do have a couple of you. So as Joe does his presentation this morning, I want you to particularly think about some of the issues you wish you had known as a faculty member when you were administrator, because I think that's another dynamic that we have to look at too.
Okay, good. All right. So before we even go to this, which is a quick one, how many of you, when you first started, knew when you got paid? When you get paid as an adjunct, you're paid on a very different time, right? Because I remember when I got paid, after 2 weeks, I'm like, hey, I'm getting paid. No, it's a month, right? I had to make some adjustments. Ask my mom and dad for money, do some other kinds of things. But you begin to find out slowly that there are these pathways that you have to make. So here's a short presentation on the 10 things I'd wish I'd known as an adjunct faculty member. They kind of apply for full-time as well. And let's see, I'll just kind of go through them casually, and you can remark or not, or pay attention, or sleep, or do whatever our students do sometimes. One is the college structure. We're a big institution, aren't we? Just from a facility standpoint, how many million square feet do you think we have at this college? Well, I already gave it away. There's 2.5 million square feet of facilities at this college. But how many people do you think are given the responsibility of making sure that that 2.5 million square feet is taken care of and cleaned? About how many? 1,000, really? That would be nice. No, but that's a good gift. It's about a little over 200. You see them with the blue shirts and so forth. More than just facilities, how many different locations do we have? 10, 11.
8. I gave up counting.
8, I think, is the solid number. 8 or 9. It depends if you put Midtown and downtown together. But then if you include the online environment, it becomes a 10th, right? Okay. So we are a large structure. In that, you kind of need to get a sense of the tree of hierarchy. Who is what in each place? What's the role of the provost? Well, traditionally at this college, the role of the provost was, where I came from at Tarpon, the provost was everything. Managed schedules, decided who got hired in some cases, and managing the schedule was critical. Just to put people into offices wherever he thought it was appropriate. And then that role kind of changed over time. And as some of you may know who've been here a long time, we'd gone to a different organizational model, one where we had a dean of students and then a kind of dean of faculty. And now we are in a new system where we have department chairs. The provosts are once again going to play a much larger role in the college experience for students. So understanding that hierarchy, another person that's critical is the associate provost. Understanding where that person fits into this hierarchy is important for you because you need to know who's in charge and where do you go if there's a grade appeal, or is your department chair available for you if you're having a discipline problem. The structure will help out. The second thing I wish I'd known is who's in charge. Really, the department staff assistants are in charge, correct? This is Elena Freeman from Clearwater. They know everything. They can quick enroll a student. They can quick unenroll a student. They can make your life difficult if your paperwork is not submitted on time to get paid. They can make your life easy if they get your paperwork in on time in order to get paid. But they are gatekeepers in a classic sense that they know everything. And they're able to kind of keep the flow going for departments. They are critical for what happens. IDTs. I don't know, where do we put the IDTs? Here's the, Karen, what do you call yourselves now?
Instructional
Design Technologists, right. Instructional Design Technologists. Who's got WIT for you? Now, really, WIT stands for Web and Instructional Technology. That's run by Vicki Westergaard, but Karen Hesting is here this morning, please. And Alan Shapiro. I'm sorry, Alan. Here's Alan here. Karen Fritsch. You like the pyramid? If I didn't keep you at the top, you would really be upset with me later on. Alan's at the Seminole campus. Karen Fritsch is at which campus? Not you guys. Okay, so the answer is? Wow, we're good, we're good. Okay, Karen Hesting is at which campus? Very good. Tim Godcharles. HEC. Right, and Allstate, and then Nancy Muntz is at Gibbs. Okay, all right, we're getting there. Okay, what can they do for you? Everything, that's a great answer. But what really do they do for you with regards to your classes? That's right, help you with Angel. But that's not their primary purpose. I know, I already saw. I think their primary purpose is to help us with instruction and the use of technology with regards to instruction. Did I get it right?
Yeah, I'll give you your 10 on the way.
Okay, good enough. Well, you're at the top. All right. Get to know these people. 4, the history of the college. And some of you have history with the college. You know that we've gone through some changes. On the left is old and busted. That's the old social science building at Clearwater, which is no longer there. And, in fact, you know that what sat here was the TA building, which is no longer there, right? And now this is the science building at Clearwater. This is the new hotness. But we're getting a lot of new hotness. Our buildings are changing. You're seeing construction on the sites. There's been refurbishment, and they really need it. You know, some of the buildings at the Clearwater campus, for instance, are almost 50 years old, right? Library, yes. Yes, yours. And they're in need of that, okay? So there's a little bit of history. 5, is there life on Mars? Sometimes working at this college feels like you're living on Mars because we have all these locations and we're not really sure of the peaks and valleys and how they relate. These are just the ribbons from the various ones: Tarpon, Downtown, Midtown, Gibbs, Health Ed, Clearwater, Epi, Seminole, Allstate, eCampus. If I'm missing any of them, you let me know. But you're not really sure how to navigate yourself on these planets. Some of you, I think, teach at different campuses, correct? How many of you, raise your hands real quick, teach at more than one campus? See. So you know about life on Mars. Joyce, right? You know teaching at Clearwater is a different experience than when you teach at Gibbs, right? And you know that your staff assistant that you coordinate with and the chair that you have to work with is a different person, different personalities, maybe not always a different process, but kind of a way in which you go about that process is. So you have to know a little bit about that. 6, the hardest thing for adjunct faculty to do is to cross-pollinate, although I think you do it better than some of our full-timers. What I mean is you need to get out. You need to get out and talk with your colleagues. Some of you already do. If you teach math, for instance, at downtown, there's kind of a bullpen that adjunct faculty are in. So you might see someone who does math as well as economics, as well as history. David, taught geography or teaches geography, and it can be mixed in with some English folk. If you never meet with your colleagues in the other discipline groups, I feel sad because you know that there's so much good work going on among the 700 or so adjuncts that we have at our college, that the difficulty is you're never really able to figure out, well, how does what's being done in an English class jive with what I'm doing in a social science class? Maybe our writing assignments can be co-taught. Maybe we can find someone in Learning Resources who can help us out because we're really doing the same kinds of things with our students with regards to writing. Its content, its form, its substance matter, what have you. But maybe will be opportunity to work together. And that's where you have to kind of cross-pollinate. I don't know how you would do it. I would suggest this is a start. And this is a great opportunity to begin talking with your colleagues from different disciplines. 7, what's going on over there? When I say over there, which building on your campus am I talking about? The administration building. Right? What's going on over there? Not that we don't know. We know what's going on because we've been there for the first couple weeks of the semester. You might have dropped in to get materials or to stop by. And what's been going on the last couple weeks? Registration. What'd you say? Panic. It's like the thundering herd, aren't they? You see a timer on the wall. You have 12 minutes to complete something. And that's what's going on the campuses. But there's this kind of labyrinth that students have to engage in. Certainly the map centers have been refreshed, but they look like labyrinths, don't they? If you're at the Gibbs campus, you go in one way. There might be some throughput. They come out another way. They look different. Students look clean. Okay? Counseling and advising, it's a mystery to me, and I've been at this college for 20 years. I'm not sure what they do. I know what it looks like on the other end. Correct? It's kind of like food. In comes out. You know what I mean? Yes! Okay? But I'm not sure what they're doing in the minutia of how they do it. And I know what they do is critical for our students, particularly financial aid. Where so many of our students, 2/3, maybe more, receive financial aid at college. I think our financial aid disbursements are in the millions for the students that we have. I heard a number this week. We have 18,000 students receiving federal financial aid, and that comes into the 200 million mark or some number like that Michael Bennett was discussing at Cabinet. So I'm not sure what's going on, but I know that it's necessary for students. And I know as an adjunct, you don't have the time. You don't have an hour to go over there and to meet with an advisor and say, well, tell me what you do. When my student comes over, what are you going to tell them? Some of you do, and you do have the time, but it's difficult. And then the last one is the counseling. Do I have to declare a major? Couldn't I just be a stem cell? You know, sometimes your students ask you this question, or sometimes you think they're stem cells, and you're not really sure. Are you there tonight? You know, remember, you know this better than many of our full-timers as well. They have family issues, life issues. They have all manner of things that we also have, and you probably share those problems with your students to a greater extent than you might like to admit to them, or that you should ever admit to them. Right? Remember, students will disclose any number of things to you. If you just give them the chance to talk, they'll keep talking. Right? If you prompt them enough. 8, know your audience. How many of you teach a night class? And the class goes until 9:40. What happens after 9 o'clock? The lights go out. Right? I mean, you just see this glaze come over. They fall into this kind of somnambulistic stare. Where's the cookies? You know, they're looking how to get out. They kind of bump around a little towards the end of class. Or because you haven't given them a break, their bladders are now distended, and they're in pain, and they're looking just to escape the question that they had formulated several hours ago. It's not going to be given to you. Your audience is clearly different when you teach that class, correct? I know some of you, Ada, you teach a Friday class, you get a lot of different students than when you teach a Tuesday, Thursday class at 11 o'clock. Some of you teach a night class. You know, like I said, after 9 o'clock, they kind of get Anne-Marie, they get that glaze, don't they? So we began on some campuses, and am I okay on time? 5 minutes? Thanks, Bruce. We began on some campuses moving or adjusting the night class time from 6 to 8:40 to help our students, but also it does help you because you've worked all day. And then you've taught a class, or maybe two, driven through traffic, ate that Chick-fil-A in the car, or that leftover sandwich that you didn't eat for lunch that you're now eating for dinner. And then you're now working for 3 hours. So you have to think of yourself as being part of that audience. So evening classes tonight at the college, room 1 this way, room 7 that way, room 12, A-level Spanish canceled due to illness. Any number of things can happen for students. 9, we know, however, that we love to teach and we love to see learning occur. There's no other reason I think that you would be here today if that weren't the case. But we know also that occasionally we just have to do a dog and pony. You go to class, even though you've been taking Sudafed all day. You get in there and you drill them for 2.5 hours on things that you know they need to do because there's either a test coming up or the major learning outcome demands it, or because you know it's good pedagogy. And because you know sometimes we do all manner of things with our students that just require being there. And in fact, I would say that a lot to my students. Just that I'm being here today helps you. Because you may not feel well, but you may hear something I say in the next hour and 15 minutes that could potentially make a difference for you. You might hear something that gives you advice or gives you courage or gives you sustenance for the day. Or you might come in and say, you know, Mr. Leopold, I'm not feeling really well. You know, can I leave? And I might say, no, you're not leaving, because right now we're going to go over this material. And it's important for you. And by the end of class, they've made it through. But it also goes with us. You work hard. Sometimes you're not going to give the lecture of your life. You're just going to have to dog and pony it. Go in there, trot out the material that you've talked about for the 15 years, and knock it down. And that's, to me, good teaching. It's not great, but it gets the job done. And so much of that has to occur, because we can't make every experience fabulous. Am I right? It's difficult. But we're not the end user of the experience either. So sometimes what students are hearing is far better than what we're saying. Okay? Dog and pony. Last and finally, I think I have 2 minutes, play to your strengths. You can improve on your weaknesses if you find that they're going to help you. But so many if your strengths are your muscles but not your brain, go with that. But also, if your students are sleeping in your class, you're going to have to find a way to improve on the weaknesses. Maybe it's the delivery. Maybe it's what you said or how you said it. Maybe it's the examples that you're giving. Those would be my 10 pieces of advice, things that I wish I'd known when I'd come to the college, because I thought initially 20 years ago that every lecture had to be fantastic. Every experience had to be just a marvelous experience. And I still believe that today and hold myself to that standard, although I know in my heart of hearts there are some days I just say to myself, well, that was a dog and pony. But you know what? We got through. And next week, I'll make it better, and I'll have chances this weekend to rethink it. And when their essays come in or the writings come in, I'll make sure I pound them on the things I need or that I forgot to say. Any questions or comments that you need to make? Yes?
Just something that occurred to me, and it may already exist, but recently I bought a new car. And when you get a new car, you know, the owners know it's this thick. But then they give you a smaller one that's what you really need. And I was wondering if there could perhaps be some type of downloadable synopsis of this college. In other words, that would include years of earnings.
We're so glad you excellent.
It's a great idea. We do.
I'm in my fourth year. What happens is I get all these important emails, and I feel the need to print them and buy them because they're important. But maybe if there was a heading where I know where I go for that if I need it, the basics of the college. And then of course, I don't know if there's a hierarchy that can be updated of, like you said, who's in this position, this campus. That could be, again, it doesn't all have to be printed because I know that's expensive, but maybe we could have it be printed. It could be updated yearly or quarterly or whatever.
Okay.
Because I find, like you said, you do feel like you're living on Mars.
Here you go.
You're not quite sure. Oh, I'm sorry. Hello. You're not quite sure
I didn't know
where
where you were
everything
coming
fits
from.
together. But again, I think that would, and again, I know printing is expensive. It's something maybe where we could, on our computer print it ourselves. It'd be maybe 20 pages or something.
Okay.
We could just keep it in a binder. Then we know, if we have a question, we know where to go and how it fits together.
Okay.
That would be helpful.
CETL and Lily will, I'm sure that there's something, Sue Blanchard had just said there's something for that, but it certainly wouldn't hurt to have the Learning Resources team part of it. Eric, real quick, and then I think the next person comes on.
Should the faculty handbook cover that?
But the faculty handbook is not really fit for that, for the kinds of things that our guy was asking. The faculty handbook has all other kinds of rules and stuff that might be extraneous to the needs of adjunct faculty. Okay?
There's an abbreviated sheet in your packet. It says abbreviated faculty guide. That's sort of our attempt to get started on that. We're working exactly on what you're asking. It's the white one. It says abbreviated. So what are some of the most important things to know?
Okay? Thank you for your
Exactly.
time this morning.
Yeah.
I appreciate
It's
you allowing
definitely
me to be
needed.
here.
Thanks.
Will I be able to pull up a video link on here? No? Yes? tell you when to stop? Well, you know, it's not that important. It was just Bill Gates. Has anybody seen the TED Talks? Those are fun, those TED Talks. They get me excited. I do need a mic. I'm usually so loud and enthusiastic. So, has anybody seen the TED Talks? It was just Bill Gates on a TED Talk talking about what works in education. The video clip I was going to show you. But, you know, we probably know what he's going to say, get the students excited. We don't really know. We need more data. We need to rely on test scores. So actually I want to hear what you think. What is the most important thing that you think works for your classroom to be a great teacher? Relationships. You can shout out. I know there's a lot of us, but I don't mind. Engagement, exactly. What else works in your classroom?
The ability to create interest and inspire them.
Inspiration and interest. Exactly. Content knowledge, exactly. And Bill Gates talks about how people with a master's degree in teaching didn't matter. But those with a math degree teaching math, it mattered. For all you math people out there. And I saw one more hand out there. Learn their names. Have you ever heard about they'll never care how much you know until they know how much you care? That allows them to release and feel safe to learn.
And trust yourself, you know, when things are falling through, be flexible, and we're good.
You're good.
Trust ourselves.
Exactly. So trust yourself to rely on the cues, the communication cues as well.
Seeing the big picture.
Seeing the big picture in terms of you may not see it today, the light go off, but little by little they're going to get there. And I was thinking about this on my drive over here this morning, and exactly, it's about the persistence, because learning is a process, not an event. Don't you think? And so
How about knowing you're not alone?
knowing you're not alone, I love that one. That's exactly right. And what goes along with that maybe is being proactive. I think some of the great traits that I've seen from you guys is, you know, you don't know something, we dropped the ball, somebody dropped the ball, and you know, you're not here to like sit around and pity party yourself. You're gonna go after, and you're gonna get that answer. So being proactive, and you might have to be persistent about it. You might have to ask the same question or same email, you know, to 5 different people 5 times or 6 times, but being persistent and proactive. Okay, so I am here to do 2 things in my next 5 minutes. That is to introduce the CETL people. These are people that are here for you, and that is exactly what CETL is for. CETL is to support faculty so that they can teach the best way they possibly can, and however that means to you, and you all have perfect definitions of that. So I'm here to introduce CETL. The second thing I want to do at the very end, because I just really need to do this, is I want you to grab a mentor today. And I don't mean somebody that you're going to look up to and bow down to and they're going to tell you what to do. And you're going to be a mentor to them, and they're going to be a mentor to you. So grab a buddy. Safer to go out in the world with a buddy. And I know you're in the world, but I want you to leave here today with a peer mentor. And so I'm going to pass out a little flyer on getting started with a peer mentoring relationship. But I also want to hear from you. One peer mentor team per person. I want to hear who is your peer mentor team. And I also want to hear what is standing in your way of being the best teacher in the world that you could possibly be. So I'm going to pass out my business cards, you know, those things. And I want you to send me an email after today. All right, so who is CETL? CETL is comprised of these faculty associates, and we try to spread them out to the different campuses so that you can go to your side, your campus, your home place, and talk to somebody. So we have Lily in the back over there. There she is. She's fabulous. Okay, so Lily is our lead faculty associate. It is her job, her full-time job, an overtime job, to basically support faculty for excellence in teaching, and she does. Then we have Eric Carver in Health Information Systems, Lynn Grinnell in the College of Business right here, Jennifer Haber in Communications, Bruce McClintock in Math, Jim Rutledge in Math, and Sharon Williams. Everybody who's a faculty associate in here, stand on up. There's Bruce, there's Sharon. Okay. All right, then we have the CETL Board of Directors, and it's our job to make sure that, we say our mission is to support faculty and excellence in teaching, so it's our job, I'm on there, to make sure we're actually living up to what we say we're going to do. So if you notice that's why I'm asking to hear a problem standing in the way. So it is our mission a lot of us are serving our last year this term, and it'll rotate around. There's not always open seats, but there's an open seat right now. And we really are trying to remove the barriers to excellence in teaching. And how do you do that in supporting faculty? So we're really trying to walk the talk, okay? So that's me, Amy Sowers. I'm the chair. And we also have Sue here, Sue Blanchard. There she is. Wonderful Sue. And we have David Fellow, also an adjunct, right over here. And then we have an open seat. And then we have Gail Lancaster right here. And we also have Roxana Levine, fabulous, and Kim Molinaro, and Richard Musgrave, there in the back. And Darlene Westberg, raise your hand, there she is, a little Darlene. And Catherine Woods over here, Katie Woods. Yep. And we also have Antoinette Caraway on our board. So we have a diverse board. We have a lot of great excitement. Oh, there she is, the beautiful Antoinette. Hi. Okay. We try to plan events all the time to get things going, and we really want to hear from you. We have the critical thinking, all college day proposals. We've got the critical thinking coming up. We've got CETL grant applications. This is a way that we really can reward and support faculty. And we also have All College Day. So these are the roles for CETL. Basically, we want to partner with the different departments at the college so that we don't take over anybody else's job, right? We want to work in partnership. Okay, so now is a chance. I need my helpers to come up and pass these out. My very good helpers. Okay. So these, also these. So now is the time to find a peer mentor. So tomorrow or the next day, send me an email because I want to hear who is your peer mentor, and I also want to hear one thing standing in your way to the best teaching you can do. So I'm sending out a peer mentor form. It's not really a form, more of a cheat sheet on peer mentoring, and a business card so that you can send me an email. All right. So I hope you leave here today with your peer mentor. Some suggestions were to find a peer mentor in your discipline or campus. If you just like somebody, you should peer mentor with them. Okay. So thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. We love you guys.
Oh, there was Bill Gates right there. No, that's not the title slide, though. It should go back. Oh, I see. It's mine. I see. I'm controlling it. Yeah. See, I can't seem to run this myself. Oh, I have to go back there. Will you come up here then? Oh, that's what I thought. Okay, sorry. We're playing with the technology. 2 questions. One is we wanted to be sure that you have your name tag. A few are still on the table in case you didn't get your name tag. And the other was, what was it, Sue? Clicker. Does everybody have a clicker? Click, click. Okay. And did everybody get a handout from Amy? Okay. Oh, there we go. While they're playing with my PowerPoint, welcome again. I'll tell you a little bit about this job from my perspective. I'm a 30-year ESL teacher. That's my real true profession. And I jumped into this in January. CETL's brand new. CETL is brand new. And that's why we're hoping you're going to help us define our role. That's part of what today is. We really do want to know how we can help. I do know there is a gap in support, and we're trying hard to fill the gap. And really what Amy just said about partnering, she didn't have time to go through all the various partnerships, but things like the libraries and WITS and assessment and tutoring and all of these different people that we've brought into today, is because we want you to know that these resources are out there. We don't really need to reinvent as much as we think we do, maybe. But you do need to know where to be able to go find things. We understand that, too. So this is I decided I'm not going to stand here and tell you who's who and what's what, okay? Instead, I'd like, do I click or you click?
You'll have to say click.
Click. Please click, Kathy. I think I'd rather control it myself. I don't like to give up control.
There's 2 presenters. Do you have the right one? Yes. No, there's 2 of those up.
Oh, maybe I've got the wrong remote. Would this make sense? Next. Bear with me. Aha. See, I was up at 1 o'clock in the morning making that thing work. Okay. Anyway, so what I thought I'd do, I have to see me on the microphone. I hate microphones. 10 questions that we're going to go over. Some have right answers. Most of them do not. Most of them are just for me to find out sort of, the buzz in this group. So the first question is this. Who is your main support in the department in which you teach? I'd like you to click. You're going to click 1 if it's your academic chair or coordinator, 2 if it is a full-time faculty member, or 3 if it's an adjunct faculty member. If it doesn't work, we'll just raise our hands.
Is this through their experience or officially?
Not officially. I mean from your experience. Who's the one when you run in and need help? Who helps you? Okay? If we don't see the clickers go, we'll just talk about it. Okay?
Instructional Design Technologists in the back.
I don't know. I have all these techies in the room. We'll see if it works.
There we go.
Is it going? Okay. Oh, it has to be. This is intentional, making a mistake so that you see, you don't get flustered. You just keep on teaching, right? Oh, you see it? This is what always happens. So we can just start with raising hands. Just sort of show me, who do you consider your point person when you walk in? Let's say you're teaching at night, or early in the morning. How many would say my program chair or academic coordinator in the office? I need eyeball. Who's my math person? Looks like a little more than a third to me. How many have what Amy was talking about, like a buddy that is a full-time faculty member that carries you through? Fewer than the program chair. How about the fellow adjunct in the office when you come in? Oh, just a couple. Okay. So again, part of what Amy was trying to say was match up, be each other's support as much as you possibly can. Even if, I don't want to say blind leading the blind, but even if you come together and answer one question, I may have a different question than she has, that kind of thing often happens. Okay? Oh my goodness, something happened behind me.
Out of the 4 people that voted.
Yes, Sophia, yeah.
If this isn't off track,
Yes,
as an adjunct and teaching night classes,
yes.
it has happened to me both on the Clearwater and the Tarpon campuses when I have
Should I give her a microphone?
problem. You know who helps me are the custodians.
I can't really comment on that.
I'm trying to say that there is no night administrator.
I know what you're trying to
We
say.
have access. There are minor problems, we manage to get over them, like AC is off, so what do we do?
I would say facilities in general, yes, have helped me a lot over the years too, right? But that's exactly the question we want to get to. You need a person at night who can be your point person. You know, maybe we have to push our program administrators a little bit and say we really need at least one night a week somebody there at night. And I'm going to get at some of this when we go through. Can I hold your question? Or okay.
Just pertains, that's also early in the morning.
Exactly. Right. The other day, I mean, can I tell them your story, Karen? Somebody called her at 7:30 saying the Elmo's not working, and so that was just sort of a, oh wait, that's not my job, but whose job is it? You know. So on Clearwater campus, you should call the provost's office, and they have a CB radio, and they send it right out to the TRS, and but each campus is different. So that's exactly, to the man in the back, what we're trying to do with those types of handouts and things online that you can go and say, I'm on this campus, who can help me at 7:30 in the morning? We get that. We're not there yet. We're trying to get there.
Lily, for the purposes of the recording, the question was, who do you contact in off hours?
Yes,
And
right.
it varies by campus. However, security's extension is 2560 wherever you are.
Yeah, that does not vary.
So if you have a security issue, 2560, or if you need to get into your room.
Can we go on to the next? Yeah.
And if you have a
Go.
question, I need to run to you because we are recording the session, and he asked me to run this.
Okay, but I would like to just kind of go through these, if you don't mind saving the questions, because some of them are going to come up probably. So college-wide, if you work at the college, what do you call if you need help? If you're locked out of your email, locked out of the system, go ahead and click. If you think it's 341-HELP is number 1, 341-4SPC number 2, 791-2795. Let's see if it works this time.
It's working.
Oh, yeah, it's working.
46 responses.
Okay. I thought I had a countdown of 10 seconds. Oh, there it goes. Okay. I'm getting this. Put it right up. Start it right up, Alan. Okay. So let's see what we've got. Most of you think 2795. You are the smarties. I didn't know that. I've been calling HELP for about 20 years. Just the other day I realized, oh, employees can have a fast track in? I'm always waiting in line with the students. So I wanted to be sure that you realize that. And it's not a nice mnemonic device like the others. Sorry, just memorize that number, 2795. Got it? Let me hear you say that. 2795, 2795. Guess what? It's not 341. It's 791. Who answers that phone? I don't know. Help desk people. They're very competent. I can't go back later. Okay, next. No, I will. This is all going to be on our website. It's streamed. It will be archived, so we'll go back. Next one. Who helps you identify and learn appropriate tech tools to meet your teaching goals? Would you say your CETL faculty associate that Amy just introduced, your Instructional Design Technologist, or the Technology Resource Specialist on your campus? They all have big names. What do they do?
Wiley,
Yes.
you're missing the I don't know block.
That's what this is all about, okay? The Tech Resource Specialist really is, you'll see TRS. TRS, these are the people really who fix computers. These are the repair people. These are the people who can run in and troubleshoot. But the Instructional Design Technologists are the people that you ought to go see when you're thinking about how can I teach better? I need to use technology. We in CETL help you get there. Think of us that way. So we are more like your resource people that help you to find the resources you need. So we like being your point where you call, you have a question, I'll say, I bet Karen could work with that. That's probably Kim in libraries, okay? Let's keep going. What's the best class list to use during week 1? This past week, I bet every day you had different students in your class. I mean, in the same class, right? So which would be the best list to use? You know, is it best just to have a sign-up sheet when they walk in the door? You know, who is in my class this week? Go ahead. Or I should put I don't know to each one. Good idea, Zach. What do we got? Thank you very much. You are right. Okay? Yeah. PeopleSoft, MySPC is what's updated constantly. Angel's going to have a lag. Angel also will hold students who drop. So MySPC, definitely go in there first, second week, And then you need to sort of sync when you look in Angel. Let's keep going, please. All right, what is SSI? I know Social Security, insurance, or something. What is SSI? You're going to hear about it a lot. And you might hear about exclamation point SSI at some point. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go. You are awesome. I'm going to go put IDK on every single slide. Yes, I will do that for next time. All right, next. Which browser causes trouble with Angel? A lot. A lot of emails, a lot of time. IDK? All of the above? I know. Okay, which is the worst, though? The worst of evils. Let's see what you think. As far as in my experience, interesting. Okay. Because I had their IE8, IE9, Firefox 3.6, and I just deleted it all to see what you might think. Let me hear from your perspective, Karen. What would you say?
Safari is not supported by Angel. Right? Firefox works fine on both a PC and a Mac, at least up to the versions that we have seen. IE works fine except for IE9. And if you go to our blog, which we'll share with you later, there's some things on there about that. So, but
basically, Safari.
Google Chrome, which isn't up there, are not supported at all.
That means a student might be trying to attach something and they keep emailing you and say, yes, I am doing it, I am doing it, I am following the instructions, and it just won't attach.
If you go to our Angel Q&A
First question.
Later on, if you have more questions about
Yeah.
that, they can discuss that then.
But I've learned to always ask first, are you running Safari? Yeah, okay, that's the problem. So you may find that would be a helpful thing to know. Okay, next. What is our college-wide QEP initiative? First of all, what is QEP? You get an extra Milky Way if you can answer that question. Where's Janice Teal? What's QEP? Quality Enhancement Plan. We actually have a plan. We have a plan for improvement, and we've had this plan for a few years now. So you've heard about our critical thinking, mission critical, right? Awesome. My Bridge to Success was actually a Gates Foundation grant. It is a new initiative, but it's not a college-wide initiative that is directly related to our QEP. Okay. What teaching competencies are you most interested in improving this year? Just wondering to get a sense of the group. Student engagement, how to engage these students, assessment, that's huge, or maybe technological know-how. This would help us in sort of planning future workshops. Go ahead. Student engagement. Okay, where's Sue Blanchard? She'll be good. She's wonderful in this, but I mean a lot of us. Right. So this afternoon, the session that's about, maybe it sounds a little negative, like dealing with disruptive students. That's not what it's about. It's engaging students, right? Holding interest, enjoying teaching. And this is the last one. What's due on August 31st? Besides my rent. Could it be first week when we're into the second week? Does that make sense? Could we be finished with our second week yet? If I teach on Mondays only? Let's see what you get. Tres interesante. It is your first week attendance, so we give you a little bit of time to actually sit down and look at who did sign in and who logged on and what PeopleSoft says. So you actually have until Wednesday to get your first week attendance officially in. Don't wait. Do it this afternoon, But you've got that lag time on purpose. We need that time, right? So I think that's it. I want to, again, welcome you. I'm going to ask Karen Hesting to come up and talk about the Instructional Design Technologists, what they do, and a little bit about WITS in keeping our wits about us. And now I know this is the one that works with this computer.
That's okay, I'm not using it.
Okay, thanks.
I'm going to go to a website, so I don't know if I need to do anything different here, you guys, or if Alan needs to run it from the back, or what's going to happen because I can't see what I'm supposed to do here. Good morning. Okay, so that was my way of proving that your instructional design technologists are not the ones that fix things, okay? Because I'm sitting here going, I don't know how to work this equipment. I'm Karen Husting. You've learned that by now if you've been awake this morning. And I am the instructional design technologist here at the EpiCenter and at the Clearwater campus. So I don't want to forget my EpiCenter folks that I see around here. Alan Shapiro in the back is our Seminole and our new Vet Tech building instructional design technologists. Karen Fritsch will be here later on this afternoon, and so will Tim Godcharles. So you'll have everybody here except for our friend Miss Nancy, who has a 3-year-old and whose husband's working today. So or actually the baby just turned 4. So she has that as her priority today, and we forgive her for that. But we're so glad to be able to be part of today because it really gives us a chance to share some of the things that we can do to support you. The first time you hear from your instructional design technologist usually is an email that says, and who's new? So you received an email sometime recently that says, hi, I'm Karen Husting, Alan Shapiro, Karen Fritsch, Tim Godcharles, fill in the blank. I'm here to help you. I'm your instructional design technologist at the fill in the blank campus, and I'm here to help you integrate technology into your instruction. So yes, that is a little form letter that we use, so we make sure that everybody gets that. And at that point, we do talk to you about Angel, because that's the very first thing that you need to know. We're there to help you get through that initial Angel training. If you're teaching, anybody teaching, face-to-face, online, blended, you have to go through the level 1 in our Pathways to E-Learning training. If you are teaching online or blended, or if you are using a class in Angel that has a lot of technology in it. A lot of folks right now are teaching face-to-face classes, but they got a course of record. So they've got this course, it's got huge amounts of content in their Angel course, but they were only doing level 1. We suggest then that you go through level 2. So if you're teaching online or blended, or a class that is has a heavy Angel component, go through the level 2 in Pathways to E-Learning. You don't need to worry about level 3 unless you're developing an online or blended course, but you're welcome to go through it. So that's your first interaction with us, but then we'd like to move past that, right? And one of the things that we are focusing on this year, and we've had the opportunity to do this is in part with partnership with CETL because they're helping to get the word out, is that we're doing a monthly learning series. So it's one of the many things that we do for you. And in your little packet is a little sheet that tells you all kinds of things that we can do for you along with our contact information. But our monthly learning series, I think, is the thing that we're the most proud of right now. And I guess you're just running it from the back there. All right, Vanna. I'm going to have Alan go to where, this is our blog, and this is up there. And all of our resources are available here right now. But if Alan's going to go to what's our learning post, and you'll see that there. Every month we have a different topic that we're focusing on, and it starts with a learning post. September, if Alan goes down to lights, camera, critical thinking, we just sent this out this week saying this is going to be our new focus for September, and we're piggybacking on the Critical Thinking Institute. So we're sharing with you ways to use video in your classrooms to support the Critical Thinking Initiative. Now, every time you see one of our learning posts, you'll see a little synopsis. You'll also see a faculty focus. So even though Laili is our CETL director, she's also an ESOL faculty member. So our faculty tells us how they use this technology in their classroom. We provide you with 5 reasons this is worth your time. And if you decide it is worth your time, we encourage you to go further because everything we're going to talk about throughout the month is on this post. We provide you with resources, we provide you with samples, we provide you with lesson plans, and at the very bottom of the post we provide you with the research that we used in building this. So that's the content on the page, but the very first Friday of the month, we're here at the EpiCenter, and we do 2 half-day trainings. So this Friday, this coming Friday, September 2nd, we will be here from 9 to noon and from 1 to 4 talking about lights, cameras, critical thinking, how to use video to support critical thinking in your classroom. We encourage you to register for that. There's registration links on the blog. We send this out through the blue and white. You were talking about what emails do I read? How do I know what to do? Read the blue and white when it comes out. Read anything that comes from your instructional design technologist. Read anything that comes from your CETL and that will give you a good start on lots of different things. The registration link is there. I've already sent things out to Clearwater and EpiCenter. I know Alan sent out a special message to his folks also, and you can come to those days. But I know a lot of you guys work during the day, all right? And that doesn't work for you. So some of the other things that we're doing is we are having at our individual campuses something we're calling learning lunches. It's a way to take the same topic and doing it a little smaller. We're setting up learning labs, a chance to just come in and talk to us about those things. We are working diligently on setting up webinars, right? So right now we're focusing on, we're having a little trouble finding software that the college supports that we can do that with, but that's our goal right now. We just started doing this at the beginning of the summer, to have an evening webinar. I know at the Clearwater campus, Lily and I, and if anybody wants to come to that, even if they're not at Clearwater, touch base with Lily, we're going to be doing one evening a month where we try to get together and talk about all sorts of things, and this will be part of that focus. And then always you can contact your instructional design technologist and work on some one-on-one. But that's one of the reasons that we put as much as we could right on the post, so that you could really get a lot of the information there. We also are recording our sessions during the day, and we're going to put those on the post also. So you should be able to get the information in a lot of ways possible. If not, contact your campus IDT and work out a plan with them. So that's our big initiative is our learning series. But we also still do just-in-time trainings is what we're calling them. You say to me, I need to learn how to use clickers. All right, I saw Lily use those. I'd like to learn how to use those. Well, I have them for you to check out on my campus. Every IDT has them to check out for you. I'm happy to teach you how to do that. I'm happy to teach a group of you how to use those and implement them. If you see something on a previous learning post that you said, I missed that, and I want to learn how to do that, get in touch and we'll do that. We're doing angel sharing sessions, again in partnership with CETL every other month. We're rotating campuses. We're rotating day and evening. We did one last month at the Clearwater campus in the evening. We had 30 people from around the college. Every campus but Allstate was represented, which was downtown and midtown included in that. So we had a really good representation for a summer evening session. And that's a chance for faculty to share what they're doing in their classroom. So watch for those things. All of that will be on our training calendar off of this blog. You'll get emails about those things also. In addition, on the blog, and Alan, if you would go to the homepage, is where you will see updated information from us. If you don't know how to get on the RSS feed of a blog so you can have that somewhere where you would see that all the time, that's another good thing to talk to your IDT about. We want this to be a resource for you. We want it to be a place where you can put comments and share things with each other. But if you see we posted something about issues using IE9 with Angel, right? All of our tutorials are on here now. All of our resources that are available for you are on here now. Trying to think what else is there. Alan, did I miss anything? Our contact information is there for our whole department and just for the IDTs. So you should be able to find us. Yes, we are here to support you with Angel. We don't fix Angel. We have network folks that do that. And the last thing I'm going to share with you on this sheet is a new person that's been added to our team, and you'll see her phone number at the bottom. Her name is Michelle Piper, and she's our course delivery manager. The instructional design technologists aren't in their office all day. It's better if you don't find us in our office, because that means we're either sitting with a faculty member in our faculty development centers, or we're doing a training, or we're supporting an initiative at the college. Michelle is at her desk there to answer Angel technical emails, or technical phone calls, or technical emails. Either way, Angel technical questions. All right? She's the one that will help you fix something. If it's broken. Your grade book's not working, you don't know why it's not working, she'll fix it. If you've never set up a grade book, or you don't know the best way to set up a grade book, you contact one of us and we'll teach you to use it. So if you think of us as your teachers, and Michelle is your fix-it, you'll be in great shape. If you have equipment problem in your classroom, just to reiterate, that's a technical resource specialist. That's not part of our department even. We're happy to give you our advice from teacher to teacher. If you have problems in your attendance in PeopleSoft, we don't have access to that. We are adjuncts ourselves, so we can help you with what we know, but we'll always help get you to the right person. Right? Questions? We have an Angel Q&A later, so hopefully you'll think of things by then. Thanks.
anybody need to stand and stretch, but I'm not letting you out of the room yet. Well, Peg makes her way to the mic. I'll introduce. This is Peg Connell, our Director of Disabilities Resources. She has a lot of information packed in here, so hold on. Come on up. And I just want to remind you that all of these PowerPoints are available to you later. You know, don't go, okay. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Lily.
Thanks.
Good morning. What a great group. It's great to see you all here. As Lily said, I'm Peg Connell. I'm Director of Disability Resources for the college. Hey, hi. And what we want to do today is somebody... Can I do it? What do I do? This one?
Yes.
Ha-ha. Okay. What we want to do today, very briefly, is first of all explain the Americans with Disabilities Act as amended and its impact on the college. You know, why do we provide services for students with disabilities? Explain why we do this, and explain how you should respond to a request for accommodations. How many of you have received a request so far this year? A lot of you. Wow, almost everybody. Okay, good. Well, today you're going to learn what that's all about. First of all, the Americans with Disabilities Act was enacted originally in 1990. It's just been amended, and full implementation of the amendments started to happen in March of this year. It states that the definition of disability shall be construed in favor of a broader coverage to individuals. Just very briefly, what happened with the original ADA, people would be suing employers, suing universities on basis of discrimination. It would go to court, and somewhere between 80 and 90% of those cases were thrown out of the courts because the courts said the person did not appropriately document or say that they had a disability. So when it came time to amend the ADA, the legislature looked at that and said, we've got to make it easier for people to receive their rights as people with disabilities. And so they brought in the definition, and it's going to be much easier now for people to claim disability services. So what happens is they basically expanded the definition of a major life activity to include additional activities. And when you look at the definition, you'll see what we mean. The definition of disability is any person who has a physical or mental impairment which substantially limits one or more major life activities, has a record of such impairment, or is regarded as having such an impairment. I'm not going to read these, but what I did was I broke out what were considered major life activities in the original act and what are now. And if you just look at the length, you can see there's not much left. If you can breathe, that's pretty much a major life activity, obviously. But it's also included reading and learning as a major life activity, and that's one of the key things that impacts us. Another thing that has changed is the regulatory authority of the Act. Originally, there was no agency delegated to interpret the term disability, so there was nowhere anyone could go if they had a question about it. Now the Equal Employment Opportunity Council issued the final regs to the authority, and they are assuming the responsibility for enforcement. What does that mean? It's going to be much easier for a student to qualify as an individual with a disability. We still require a level of documentation, but we have more preference to use our own judgment when we're working and talking to students based on the documentation that they bring. They may not bring quite as much, and we may end up just having an interview with a student and broaden that. And the other thing that we're doing now, which you never did before, how many of you are familiar with the term IEP from K through 12? Or SOP, which is Standard of Progress, 504 plan. All these are indicative that a student has some kind of special ed when they were in the K through 12 system. We never accepted those in the past to document disability, and now we do. We provide a limited number of accommodations for students with these. The other thing that this means for us is that the Office of Civil Rights and the Department of Justice is going to be looking much more closely at us for compliance. And it's going to be a lot easier for a student to file a grievance and to win his or her case than it's ever been before. So we have to be very diligent in what we're doing. To give you an idea of what our numbers were, these were our numbers last year.
What do all those acronyms mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. You want me to go back? Oh, about here? Oh, those are the campuses. Okay. Clearwater, Downtown, Health Education Center, Seminole, St. Pete, Tarpon Springs. Okay. Those are the numbers of students that were documented and that we served last year at the college. Now, I've got to tell you, the average at the national level for universities is somewhere between 7 and 9%. Right now, we've only documented about 2 to 3% of our students. So our guess is that there are quite a few students out there who have never come to Disability Resources and who we don't know about, but who have disabilities. Some may feel they don't need to. Some maybe don't even know that we're around, and we're still trying to get the word out. This is the type of disability that we see. And if you'll notice, if you go down the list, the largest group are the mental and psychological disorders, disabilities. You will see this in behaviors in your classrooms from time to time. We see it on the campus. The increase in students with psychological disabilities is huge. 44% increase over previous years. That's a big increase. The other thing that we're expecting to see, and we're seeing more, we have about 1,800 veteran students. It is estimated that veterans who have been through Afghanistan or Iraq, somewhere between 60 and 80% of them have some form of post-traumatic stress disorder. So if we look at maybe only 40% of those 1,800 on our campuses with some form of disability, some form of PTSD, we're going to see behaviors at the college that would reflect that. What are some current trends? A lot of emphasis on technology. How many of you are doing just online teaching? Okay, you're going to be hearing from us from time to time if you have a student in your class if we need to do something about accessibility with your classes. Online application, online registration. Right now our application and registration process is not accessible to our blind students who use screen readers. A screen reader is software that actually reads to the student what is on the screen. Our registration and application process, we figure our goal is by the end of this year to have that accessible to all students. Right now it is not. Technology moves so fast it's hard to keep up with accessibility. And right now we are focusing our efforts on accessibility for all students in the design and development of all of our technology, but in your case what impacts you is especially your classes. Another thing that we really need to pay attention to, there have been several lawsuits brought to the Department of Justice regarding inaccessible technology. The Department of Justice is saying that every online course that we teach, even if there is not a student with a disability in your particular class, that course still needs to be designed in a way that would be accessible to any student who takes it. We're playing catch-up right now. What we do right now is if a student with a disability registers for an online course, especially if it's a deaf student, so that if you have videos in your class, if you have links to websites, to sites that might not be captioned, we do the captioning. What the Department of Justice is saying, you shouldn't even be designing that course with a video that doesn't have captions on it. That should be an automatic, and that's something you'll be hearing more and more from us. But right now, we're doing that for you, and we're doing it. I think we're like 2 weeks ahead of the students right now, and that's as far as we've been able to get. We have so many students taking online courses this semester where we've had to do what we call retrofit the courses to make them accessible. Florida State right now is in the middle of a lawsuit. The National Federation of the Blind has become very aggressive in going after universities and colleges that are not presenting materials in an accessible way for blind students. And Florida State right now has 2 math students who have brought a case to them. The problem there, and this is important for you, the problem that they had at Florida State, because truthfully, how many of you are math teachers? Okay, if you're using Play-Doh, if you're using any of our online math platforms, they're not accessible. And there is not an accessibly designed math program on the market right now. So for us to go out and buy one, we're going to be buying an inaccessible one. Our online accessibility technician has been literally audio taping some of the Plato courses for our blind students. That's the only way we've been able to get around that. But what's happened at Florida State is they not only had an inaccessible platform, but what they said was the math department and their instructors disregarded the students. So the way you work with your students, if they're having problems with accessibility, and we have my contact information here, what I'm going to say is call me, because we will make sure that the course becomes accessible without compromising the content of the course. Okay, so if you have any student who says, hey, I can't get to your stuff, let us know right away. Let the student know that the college will do everything we can to make that happen. Yes?
I get the form occasionally in my mailbox.
Right.
It's very rarely. The responsibility is to, and is it appropriate for an instructor to say to the class, see me in my office hours if you have an accommodation? Because I'm not always sure. I'm like, I just started. I don't have any forms yet.
Right, and that's... Yeah, I'm going to get to that in a minute about what to do with those accommodation forms and what's appropriate to say and what's not.
And who's responsible?
And who's responsible.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if you'll be about 2 more slides and we'll be there, okay? Okay, the other trend I mentioned to you, there's been an increase in students with psychological disorders. But if you go to the second bullet, the increase of students with specific mental psychological disorders such as bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, that's increased by 185% over the past 2 years. Yes? A lot of it is that it's being diagnosed more. They're coming to see us more, so we know about it. There probably are a lot more students out there who haven't yet come to Disability Resources, so we don't know about them, who are dealing with these disorders. Yes?
You may cover this in a minute, but I had a student class in the summer who, on a little biography that I had, said that he was schizophrenic and bipolar.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't give me any accommodations, a form.
Okay, that's a great situation.
She had a student who said she had a disability but didn't give an accommodation
No
form.
accommodation forms. If a student self-discloses, it would be appropriate for you to say, you know, there may be some resources at the college for you, and refer the student to the Disability Resource Office. Once they've self-disclosed, they've opened that door for you to refer them to us.
But am I obliged to contact you?
No.
Is the instructor obliged to contact the office? No.
The instructor is not obliged to contact us. We would prefer that you actually talk directly to the student. You know, you've indicated this. Are you getting all the support you need? If not, you might want to go to Disability Resources. Put it in the student's responsibility to come to us.
Okay, could you repeat the questions when you...
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Yes?
I'm curious, by itself, bipolar schizophrenia, is there an accommodation that given based on accommodations?
The question is, if someone is bipolar or has schizophrenia, is there an accommodation that's given? The accommodations are individualized to the student, and it depends what they need. Some of our students who deal with a lot of disabilities, really, but if you're looking at bipolar, schizophrenia, may need to be able to leave class if they're in a face-to-face class. So that might be something on the accommodation sheet. Student may need to sit near an exit, because if they get overly anxious, they may need to step out. They may need a little extra time in taking a test, just because their mind is kind of impacting their ability to work as quickly through a test. They may need a quiet location in taking a test. Those would be some of the types of accommodations you might see. Okay, how do we determine accommodations? We determine them based by the documentation. We receive documentation from medical professionals and in an interview with the students. It's a combination. We try to make it a team effort with our office and the students. The students will present you with an accommodation sheet. In your packages, I gave you a copy of a face-to-face class accommodation sheet and an online accommodation sheet. They're a little different because the accommodations for online are a little more compressed than face-to-face. But I wanted you to know what an accommodation sheet would look like. So if you can just pull those out. Those are the sheets, and they'll be signed by your disability resource counselor. Those are the sheets that the student will present to you. We advise the students not to come up when there's a whole bunch of students at the very beginning of class and give to you. What we advise the students to do is to make an appointment to see you in your office. If it's online, they will email it to you. Now, what can you do and not do? First of all, you may never, ever, 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 you may not ask the student the nature of their disability. And I know that that can be very difficult. We have faculty, and I know because you care about students, your thinking usually is the more I know about my students, the better I can help them, the better I can work with them. It is against the law for you to say to a student, what is your disability? The other thing that you should never do is single a student out in the classroom. You know, we've had faculty members who would hold up their accommodation sheet and say, gee, does anyone have anything like this? Bring it up to me right now. We've had that happen. You don't want to do that. We really put the onus on the students. You should have a statement in your syllabus about disability services, but we really put the onus on the student to present their accommodation sheet to you. They're in college now. They're young adults, and some of them older adults, and they need to start taking responsibility. Otherwise, when they leave us and they get to the workplace, they're not going to be able to. So we put a lot of onus on the students to come to you, ask to see you, ask to talk to you. At that point, it's up to them to determine and to decide how much information they want to give you. You may ask how to provide the accommodations. If you see an accommodation for a student, often with the testing accommodations, the double time or the time and a half or quiet room, that testing takes place in either in the Learning Support Commons or in the testing center on the campus. We tell the students that if they're giving you an accommodation sheet the beginning of the semester and there's not a test until 4 weeks in, to let you know a week out, hey, don't forget, my test needs to be sent to the testing center. You're not going to always remember to do that. It's up to the student to remind you ahead of time. Yes?
What if they don't want to go to the testing center? They want to stay in class?
The question is, what if they don't want to go to the testing center? They want to stay in class? That's up to them. It's up to you if they get time and a half or double time if you want to stay there with them. Huh? Should they get it in writing? No. They have it in writing. They have it on their accommodation sheet. No. They don't have to get that in writing. Yes?
What would one do in the event that, as an instructor, you recognize the student that may have one of the disabilities that we're referring to, especially psychological or mental, and this individual has not identified or self-identified?
Right.
What does the instructor do in that instance?
Okay, the question is, and it's a very good one, what do you do if you have a student in your class that is exhibiting behaviors that leads you to believe there may be some psychological disability or some problems going on? What can you say to that student? There are ways you can phrase things to students that can let them know that there are services available to them on the campus. What you cannot say is, do you have a psychological disability? You know, as a matter of fact, I would say the best thing to do is take the word disability when you're talking to students, unless they self-disclose, take that word out of your vocabulary. You might talk to them about their behavior. And sometimes as you talk to them about their behavior, they begin to share stuff with you, and they start to disclose a little more. You can say to them, you know, there are services on the campus that might be able to help you. Refer them to the learning specialist by name. You have the names of all of these learning specialists. Rather than say, go to Disability Resources, if you're on Clearwater campus, why don't you go see Amy Stubbs? She might be able to help you. If you have any questions about what to say to a student, if you're running into a problem with a student, call the learning specialist on your campus or call me, and we'll walk you through it. Yes?
Yeah, the recommended terminology I got was learning specialist. You just keep saying learning specialist, go see them. Sorry.
And actually, we've changed their title to Disability Resource Specialist, but use the term Learning Specialist. The students understand that term, and that's a good way to do it. Or counselor, either way, but Learning Specialist is probably safer. Yes?
Where do I have to list these names?
They're on the PowerPoint, and it's in Angel. You can pull it up. I didn't do handouts because there were so many of you, but it's on Angel. You can pull it up. It's also, we also have a website. Lily?
On the page that Lily provided you in your packet, on the page 2, the back side, it says Office of Services for Students with Disability Resources, and their website's right there.
Okay, and all the names are there. And I'm glad, Karen, that you mentioned that. We used to be known as OSSD, Office of Services for Students with Disabilities. We've recently changed our name to Disability Resources. So you may say, a student may say to you, I'm involved with OSSD, and if you're new to the college, you're going to say, what's that? It's the same thing. OSSD, DR, Disability Resources, any of that language, okay? Some of the other accommodations include a note taker. A student may bring a package to you in the class. We ask you to make an announcement in the class saying that asking for volunteer note takers. What happens is the note taker gets NCR paper, they take notes, they rip it off, they give you the carbon copy, you give the carbon copy of those notes to the student with the disability. You know who that student is, the student taking notes doesn't. Unless, again, they choose to talk and self-disclose, which a lot of them do. Extra time on tests. Extension for class assignments once in a while. That is up to your discretion, and that needs to be negotiated. We've had students who have been given that that accommodation of extra class times. That's often for students who may be dealing with some physical problems and may need a little extra time, or maybe they have a real severe learning disability, and it just takes them longer to do things, to read, to process information. What we want to do here is level the playing field for these students. We're not trying to give them a leg up. But if a student's accommodation sheet says that they have time and a half for testing, you may not say to them, oh, you don't need that in my class. Now, what you can say is, I give all my students all the time that they need, and you can do it at the testing center or you can do it here, but all my students get as much time as they need. That you can say. But if that's not the case, you cannot say to a student, you don't need that. We recently had a case with a student who has a severe physical disability, has to go to the Mayo Clinic for treatment, is going to miss a test, and the instructor said, I'm sorry, that's one thing I'm real tight on. You can't miss that test. I won't reschedule that test for you. Can't do it. Can't do it. Needs to be rescheduled. She has a very bona fide reason not to be able to be in the class at the day of the test. Okay, so just be careful with that. Just know that it's not your prerogative to make a determination of what accommodation the student gets. If you have a question, you don't understand, you don't know how to provide an accommodation, that's why Disability Resources exist. We're here to help you. We're here to consult with you if you need it.
Do we need an appointment slip?
I'm sorry.
Do we need an appointment slip?
Do you need an appointment slip for what?
A student who's seeking accommodation.
They'll bring the accommodation sheet that's in your package. That's all you need. It's not an appointment. It's just it lists the accommodation the student qualifies for.
Yeah, what I'm saying is time to time you'll run across a student who will say, I can't take your test because I'm going to be so-and-so and so-and-so for the doctor.
Right.
And yes.
Okay, the question is, from time to time you might have a student who says, I can't take the test on the day assigned because I have a doctor's appointment. You might have that for a student who's not with Disability Resources. Whatever you do for all your other students, That's what you should do, except if it's a student with a documented disability and documented accommodations, you cannot say to the student, I won't do this for you. That's probably the bigger difference. But I think most instructors are pretty flexible. You know, a student could end up with, wake up the day of a test with 103-degree fever in the case of the flu, and send you an email, give you a call and say, there's no way I can come to class today. Are you going to say to that student, no, you can't take the test, you're getting an F? Or are you going to say, I understand, you're sick, when you come back tomorrow or the next day you'll take the test? Same kind of a, yes?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to suggest, we're going to have a big Q&A time from like almost 11 to 11:30. Will you stay for that, Peg? Or you
I can't, I have an appointment.
I'm going to have to hold your
Cut me
breath for
short.
a few more minutes. Is that okay?
We're almost,
Important for you to be able to talk to her. So,
okay, and I'm also available anytime, yes?
If I do 4 in-class tests and I also do 20 in-class quizzes, I allow makeups on tests, but I don't allow makeups on quizzes, but I drop 20% of the quizzes. Am I obligated to give a makeup quiz?
I would, the question was, if I do a whole lot of quizzes, but I drop some of them, do I need to give a makeup? If the student has the accommodation, if the student has a documented disability and requests a makeup, I would say you better do it. Okay, even though you drop them, because that student at the end of the semester may get a poor grade for any other kinds of reasons and come back to you and say, I had a bona fide reason, I had a disability, I'm in Disability Resources, you didn't let me take a quiz. And you don't want to put yourself in that kind of jeopardy.
But they do have to request.
They have to request. They make the request. The Disability Resources Office is not going to call you for every student and say, we've got this student in here and these are the accommodations that you need to provide. The student gets the accommodation sheet. It's their responsibility to get them to you. Yes?
Each time I've taught, usually about 3 or 4 weeks into the semester, that you get notified by some of these students,
Right.
and they may not get an accommodation sheet to you for 5 or 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go back.
No.
You can't go back.
Right.
So wouldn't it be appropriate to notify the whole class that if they have accommodations, to please get them to you at the start of the class?
Right. The question is, would it be appropriate to notify the entire class if you have received accommodations to make sure that you get that to them? You can make a general announcement, just as you make all your general announcements. See me after class or something like that. There's nothing wrong with that. And because what the question was sometimes students are in the class 4 and 5 weeks before I see an accommodation sheet. Sometimes students don't come to us until they're struggling. And then they come to Disability Resources and say, I'm having a problem. Help me. Yes?
In the college board of Board of Trustees rules,
Mm-hmm.
They consider absences in excess of 20%.
Right.
Excessive absences.
Right.
Do disabled students have any different standard with active participation?
Okay. The question is, do students with disabilities have any different standards other than other students as far as class participation? The easy answer is no. The more complicated one is it's up to you. Okay?
How I base my dropping quizzes on, because
Right.
20% absence rate, 20% quizzes being dropped.
Right. It's really up to you when you work with the student. If the student comes and talks to you, if you want to work with the student on that, if you want to provide them other ways to make it up, that's your call. But if they do not meet the basic college standards for attendance and class participation, they don't meet the basic college standards for participation. Sue?
I know you have to finish your thing. I can cover for you during the question
Okay.
period if you want me to.
Okay, Dr. Sue Blanchard is here, and she basically started the whole disabilities program here at the college. So that's wonderful. So she'll be here during questions and answers. That's great.
I want you to have a chance to finish.
Thank you. Okay, these are the names of the staff that you want to contact. And Tanya Williams actually goes by TJ, so you might see TJ or Tanya with her. She's downtown, but she also serves Clearwater and Gibbs. She kind of floats to campuses as we need her. And then my name and number is on the bottom, and you can feel very free to call me, and that is up on Angel. And I think, and more information can be found. We also have a Disability Awareness Project website. On that website, there is a faculty guide. It's a little bit outdated right now, but it gives you some pretty good information. And you can just go to that Disability Awareness Project website and click on Faculty Guide if you want some more information. Please don't hesitate. We really want to work with you. Do not hesitate to contact me or contact the Disability Resource Specialist on your campus. Another name that, if you're on Teaching Online, that you might hear is Mary Deschamps. Mary does our online accessibility. So if we have a student in one of your classes who needs who has taken a class, Mary actually goes into your class. She doesn't doesn't question the content. She looks to see if it's accessible. And if it isn't, and if there's a problem, she'll send you an email and say, can we work together? And these are the things I'll do. For instance, if you have a video, she'll caption it. If it's not accessible to a screen reader, she'll do what needs to be done to make that happen. But she doesn't mess with your content at all. Okay. Are there any other questions? I think we probably want to, Eileen probably wants questions to be held until you can work with Sue at 11 o'clock. But I really thank you. Thanks for coming out on a Saturday, and I hope you have a great year.
There's a wealth of information. Okay, a couple announcements before we have our break. When you go out the doors here, the bathrooms to your right and another right, and they're on your right. Secondly, if you walked in and didn't have a name tag and you created one, please see me. I want to get your name down so when you get your certificate of attendance, you're not on our list. Number 3, leave the clickers right on the tables, please. We're going to come around and collect them, and they're numbered. They won't be any good to you if you don't have Turning Point. Any other things I need to tell? If you'd like to take a look at where the afternoon sessions are, when you go right past the bathrooms, a little further down on the left is corporate training. We have to thank them. They've given us 3 computer labs this afternoon. And on the right is collaborative labs. So let's take 10 minutes, and we'll meet at 10:45. Thanks.